What if the era of globalization as we know it is over? On April 3, 2025, Donald Trump made a bold move that could shatter the economic order we've relied on for decades. With a single stroke, he's challenging the very foundation of global trade. Is this the end of an era or the beginning of a new global power struggle? On April 3, 2025, a surprising decision from President Trump shocked the world. He announced the imposition of reciprocal taxes on 180 economies globally. This shock immediately created a wave of panic, raising many concerns about the negative impact on the global economy. Raising taxes not only pushes up costs, but also disrupts the global supply chain. According to estimates, 30% of the new tax rate will be borne by foreign businesses. But more notably, 70% of this burden will fall on the pockets of American consumers, who will have to pay more expensive prices for everyday goods. Confidence in markets and international relations is shaken, and it seems that a new period of instability awaits. But the big question that everyone is wondering is, why did Trump choose this path when his policies go against Western economic theories that have been applied for so long? Far from being an impulsive act, Trump's decision was a carefully calculated move, clearly reflecting the views of him and his close team. They don't just blindly oppose globalization. In fact, they are representing the voices of half of America, those who feel they have been left behind during the journey of globalization. Millions of American workers lost their jobs because factories closed and moved to countries with cheaper costs. The once vibrant industrial towns are now just a memory. Meanwhile, large corporations earn huge profits from the global supply chain. Injustice is increasingly evident, and with Trump, this is the time to turn the tables. For Trump, "Make America Great Again" is more than just a catchy saying. It was a declaration of war on uncontrolled globalization, what he called a money burn that weakened America from within. According to him, globalization is a double-edged sword. On the one hand, it benefits tycoons, on the other hand, it hurts American workers. And now, it's time to put an end to that. The story of globalization did not begin until modern times. Let's turn the clock back to the 16th century, where the first wave of globalization arose, with sails across oceans and unlimited ambition. When Christopher Columbus arrived in the Americas, he not only opened a new continent, he also opened the door to the first era of globalization. Spain, thanks to this discovery, rose like a whirlwind, conquering land, collecting gold, gathering silver, and gradually building a widespread empire. Spain quickly discovered a huge silver mine in Potosi, Peru. They exploited thousands of tons of silver, turning themselves into the richest country in Europe. Money flowed into Spain like a waterfall, and their power at that time was almost unmatched. The problem is the money comes too quickly, causing the aristocrats to just spend and enjoy. They do not invest in production or industrial development. While silver from Peru continued to flow in, inflation also silently escalated. Goods are expensive, domestic production is weak. Spain has to import everything, leading to a serious trade deficit. Constant war, stagnant production, divided people's hearts. At the end of the 16th century, the once glorious Spanish Empire began to slide, ceding the historical stage to new powers. Globalization brings glory, but also sows the seeds of collapse. That is the first lesson of history. After Spain, the globalization crown passed to another empire, the United Kingdom, the birthplace of a revolution that changed the world. In the 19th century, England exploded with industrial revolution. Steam engines, textile mills, railways, all transformed England, the world's factories. Not only stopping at production, the British also skillfully built a global trade system based on gold standard, helping the British pound become the international currency of its time. The sun never sets on the British Empire, but storm clouds still come. The more Britain expands its influence, the more it becomes entangled in confrontations with other powers such as France and Russia. As the world entered the 20th century, two new faces appeared: America and Germany, youthful, strong, and with outstanding technology. New factories began to drown out the sounds of machinery from London. Despite controlling large gold mines in South Africa, that advantage was not enough to keep Britain on the throne. Military power weakened, colonial costs are increasingly expensive, and high-tech competitors such as the US and Germany are growing stronger, causing Britain to gradually slip from its position of global hegemony. Once again, the wave of globalization swept over an empire, and then it swept away its once brilliant glory. After two waves of globalization of great empires, the world entered a new chapter, a chapter full of turmoil and complexity. That's when America rises to lead and China begins to awaken to become a global economic power. 1944. Initiated in a small village in New Hampshire, USA, Bretton Woods system. This is a strategic step to transform copper, US dollars into the world's currency with control international bank and the stability of the global economy. This system lasted for half a century, with the United States at the top, leading other countries to rely on the dollar. But by 1971, when the dollar began to depreciate sharply, President Richard Nixon decided to withdraw the US from the Bretton Woods system. This move forced the world to find a new way, and there it is, petrodollar. The United States and oil nations simultaneously established oil transactions in dollars, helping to maintain the value of this currency, and the United States continued to maintain its position in the world. However, the world is not just America. China completely changed the face of globalization when it began to open its economy at the end of the 20th century. Cheap production China quickly became the main source of goods for the world. China becomes global factory, which produces everything from electronics to clothing. The story of globalization is no longer just an American story. A new pattern emerges. America consumes, China produces. The US continues to maintain its role as the world's largest consumer, while China provides cheap goods and maintains a trade deficit with the US. This model not only helps China develop strongly, but also creates an interdependence between the world's two largest economies, forming a G2 new, where two superpowers are at the top, controlling the global economy. And so, from 1944 to 2024, the third wave of globalization shaped a tightly interconnected world, where America and China creating a balanced situation, full of competition, but also indispensable for each other. America used to be factory of the world, which produces everything from cars to machinery, but things have changed rapidly. Manufacturing industry in America's gradually transferred to China and East Asian countries. This is a huge shock to the US economy, causing them to lose their domestic production capacity and face a series of difficulties in maintaining their position as a manufacturing powerhouse. A typical example of this shift is shipbuilding industry. Previously, America used to lead in ship production, but now China occupied more than 50% market share shipbuilding in the world, while the US only contributes 0.2%. It is a clearly visible change, the transfer of productive power from America to China. This not only affects production capacity, but also reduces its strategic strength, America in many fields. Besides, America used to be the leading country in technology, from Silicon Valley to groundbreaking inventions in every field. However, China has not only caught up with the US, but also surpassed it in some important areas, especially artificial intelligence, AI. Chinese companies such as Dipsix Satisfied break the technological monopoly of the West, and now America faces a real technological threat from an old but increasingly stronger rival. America used to hold a hegemonic position, but now the China's strong rise make the world no longer the same. Key American industries are now not only losing strength, but also facing fierce competition from emerging nations. This is a great lesson about inevitable change in a globalized world. Globalization has created these big opportunities, but also leave pain is hard to avoid for many people in America. When the manufacturing companies started moving beyond the borders, then American working class, the people who once were heart of the economy, suddenly become sufferers left behind. Millions of jobs have disappeared, and these people struggle to make ends meet in an increasingly tough labor market. But while American workers having difficulty, then global economy still rotating. America, with trade deficit lasting, still maintained financial position strong in the world. This may seem like a paradox, but it is one wise move of this country. America continues to provide global liquidity as a huge currency supply, helping to maintain the stability of other economies. And behind it all, there is the power of the dollar. The United States not only maintains its financial position thanks to the issuance of this currency, but also can impose sanctions when needed. When the whole world had to trade in dollars, America was almost in control of all cash flows in the world, turning it into a powerful weapon in foreign policy. So, even though there are serious loss domestically, America still maintains global power. But what is the cost? Does workers' roofs, is it resilient as the global economy continues to change, or will it become increasingly fragile as a new world continues to emerge? When Donald Trump entered the White House, he not only wanted to be the leader of the country, but also the one to lead one revolution in global trade. His goal is very clear: reshaping the global trade landscape and reindustrialize America. Trump does not accept America's passive role in the global economy. He wants America to return to its powerful era, where production is no longer constrained, pushed out of the country. With one decisive vision, Trump embarked on strong strategies. One of the slogans he stands out with is "Train the Swamp." Clean internal problems against corruption and create one more transparent politics. He also did not hesitate to challenge China, find a way, connect with partners to create a counterbalance and protect America's economic interests globally. One of the important strategies that Trump put forward is encourage domestic production. Instead of relying on imported products, he called for work made in America, replace consumption tax with tariffs to encourage businesses to return. But the biggest question remains unanswered. Can the U.S. overcome the recession, create a strong economy with growing revenues, and reduce public debt? The change Trump wants is not easy, but with resolve and bold strategies, he did what many believed was cannot. And so, with Trump's bold move, the global economic landscape has been forever changed. The stakes are high, the players are many, and the future of trade hangs in the balance. Will the U.S. emerge victorious, or will the rest of the world unite to fight back? Only time will tell, but one thing is certain, the game has just begun. If you found this analysis eye-opening, hit that like button and subscribe for more in-depth insights. Don't miss out on the next chapter in this global showdown.